guys, this is Tina. Welcome back to my channel. So we're still here working on our Junky Junk journal, which was inspired by my holiday journal. So I'm just checking that my camera kind of setup is all right. Hopefully it is. So yesterday, or the last video anyway, we got on with a few little bits. So we haven't got an awful lot more to do in this journal because I don't want it to be like a huge, great big journal. I want it to be reasonably flat and very accessible for anybody, because I know that obviously not everybody wants the journal stuffed full to the brim. You know, that can be a bit overwhelming, I think, for some people. So just going back in, when we finished up last time, I think we were just playing around with this little piece here, and then we just had this piece on the facing page and we were just debating what to do. So I thought we'd just come straight on today and get instantly back on with what we were doing here. So I've got again some more scraps and things to the side of me. I just wondered whether we might be able to incorporate this stripy piece at all, or whether that's moving away from what we've been doing. So I've got that one. I have got this sort of spotty, if you can see, it's got a like a raised effect, and this is just another piece that I had laying around from a different project that I had been working on. So I wondered whether we could have used that, but I don't think so. I also have got this like a chevron design, so I did wonder about that because I think that's pretty fun. Yeah, I quite like that. So I'm just deciding now what to do, whether to do, I wonder whether we could do a fold here. Let's just try this out. This may or may not work, but if I just fold that there, just wondered whether we could have it. Ah, right, okay, I'm going to cut this down. Again, I mean, I still don't know for definite that this is going to work, but at least I've got an idea now where I'm heading, whereas a moment ago I didn't even have that. So let's have a look. So I'm just going to trim this down because, as you can see, it's not very straight. And obviously the chevrons really are not forgiving at all. Excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat again today. Don't know what that's about. So what I wondered was whether we could have that tucking behind this piece here. So that would act as a closure for that. What do you guys think? Yeah, I quite like that, I think. So what I might do is just tear around this so as we make this a bit softer looking, you know, in appearance. So I just think that looks slightly nicer. And then what I might do is trim this down slightly further. Like that. Okay, that just looks somehow nicer to the eye, I think. So again, I want to obviously decorate up and keep things as per how we've been doing the rest of the journal. So this, I've already obviously torn it down a bit, so let's just tear that down further. Okay, so what I might do is actually in the first instance just glue this on, and then that's not moving about at all because that's a bit distracting when it keeps moving around. So I'm just going to glue that down with just my regular glue here. I mean, this is effectively like a PVA glue, and it's just the Anita's tacky glue. It's the same glue I always use, really. So I'll just glue that down. Okay. We're just going to glue that as close to the top as we can and over quite a long way, but I don't want it too close into the folds because then it may be in the way when I'm actually folding the book up. So I've left about, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch or something gap there. And obviously it's probably about the same from the top there. So that looks nice. And then this piece I'm going to have here. So I just now, it's just sometimes easier to work once things are actually glued onto the page, because they're not then moving around all the time, which obviously can be a bit distracting. So just wonder whether we could have a little tab. Let's just try that out and see how these two pieces would look. And then I wonder whether we could have some flowers. Let's just have a look. Okay, these ones here. So let me just tear these down. Let's just actually, just going to fussy tear around that like that. Just wonder whether we could have that there at all. And then could we somehow incorporate this gorgeous blue? I mean, I know that's not a match, you know, by any stretch of the imagination to that, but would that look nice at all? And I talked about this in the last video, but I mean, I really have used very minimal stamp designs here. So, you know, I'm just going with those same ones. I haven't stamped more or anything. I'm just sticking with the very minimal selections. I don't think it's necessary to have an abundance of different things. I think you can achieve different looks using similar things. Oh, this is annoying me. I'm going to have to glue this down, I think, because where this is moving about, I'm finding it a bit distracting. So I'm just going to glue this piece down, and then that won't be distracting me anymore. Otherwise it's quite hard to actually see what's going on when things are moving around all the time. So I'm just popping that down there like that. Okay, let me just check that I am still in frame. Do you know, I had a horrible feeling it was just sat not recording for a minute, because it was 8:08 or something on the timer, which obviously at first glance just looked like 00. And I thought, oh no, not actually recording, because that does happen from time to time, as you know. Right, so now I'm just going to stick this down here, because then again I've made a commitment and there's no backtracking then. Oops. Oh gosh, not enough room at all in amongst my mess. Okay. Right, we've got that one down there, and then have a look and see what else I've got just laying around that I might be able to pull in. Okay, we're going to have this. Now I'm just going to bring my fabric that we're back in, that we've been using back in. And again, I mean, if you have actually been following along, we're just using this same fabric throughout the whole journal. It's quite nice to use the same, I think, for the continuity of it, because then no matter what pieces that you've used on the page that are different, using the same fabric then ties it all back in, you know, and brings it all back together into a coherent book. Just literally found that laying around. I can't even tell you what that was from. It must have been from a shop tag, I think, or something. But I just spotted it and thought, oh, I have to use that in a moment. So, right, let's get this flower. So, should we use that there? Now I'm thinking we'll do something with this over here, just kind of pop that down just somewhere so as we've got a bit of something on that facing page. Something about this just isn't working for me. Don't know what is the problem, but maybe I prefer it like that. Right, let's tear this down a bit further. Like that. Actually, I'm just going to have a really tiny portion of this, I think. And then I just have it just there. Oh, I don't know now. Maybe not have those flowers at all and just have the fabric. I think I prefer it like that. So I do quite like this fabric here, so let's just commit to that now. So again, using that fabric tack, I'm just going to just glue that down. Like that. Okay. Just cut that there. Oh, how about something like that? Let's see. Oh, that's quite nice, isn't it? Actually, let's bring the flower back out. Oh gosh. Definitely all fingers and thumbs today. Don't know what's going on. Now that's really nice. So what I'm going to do, I think, is cut this flower down. And then you can glue that like that. So again, I'm just going to glue this flower down, trying to capture some of those petals, because these are those same flowers that we talked about before, where the petals are quite, you know, they're very thin stems, so they're a bit vulnerable, I feel, to breaking off, tearing off. Well, I find them a bit vulnerable to that because I'm a little bit clumsy, I guess. So, and then we can have this ticket piece just somehow there. So I'm going to stick the ticket piece, I think, with the hot glue. I know that sounds very strange, but the reason for that is so that I can grab it straight onto the petals of the flower. And it's obviously instant then, because obviously it's at a curve, which obviously that's not going to be picked up on camera, but it's got to curve up to go up the petal a bit. So by using the hot glue, it's just an easier way to do that. Okay, so then I think I'm going to have that here. We could have that little flower on there. That's rather cute, isn't it? Right, so again, oops, just take the fabric tack. Too many tubes of glue now around the desk. Just going to clean the nozzle of that a little bit. Okay. Just pop that on there. And again, I might just leave the sort of tail of that just hanging off. I think looks quite sweet. So I may pop that flower on there. I'm just having a look, because obviously there are some blue ones. Oh, I wonder if there's some yellows. There definitely were yellows. Oh, look. So let's just get that out for a moment. Again, these are some more that I bought when I was in America last time, which was all those years ago. I think these, yeah, Prima Marketing again, and this was called a Calypso tin. It came with 64 flowers, so they've lasted me years and years. but they're just gorgeous, aren't they? So if you wanted to check them out, that's what they're called. I assume that they still do them. I'm saying that they maybe don't, but I'm just guessing that they probably do. So on this page, right, okay, I'm going to tack this fabric down at the side here. I mean, my main reason for doing that really is covering up the backs of the staples. So that was my main motivation really for doing that. Now, got all these flowers now, which I'm just loving. So I'm going to cut this one in half. We could have that just tucking out behind the fabric perhaps. That's quite sweet, isn't it? Right, let's have that. So again, I might just glue that with the Shabbydabbydoodah because obviously I'm going to pop the fabric on top of there. So I'm just going to pop a little bit on there. And then I can slot that under there, but also glue the fabric onto there like that. So it's just poking out a little bit just behind the fabric there. Actually, I'm just going to try and drag it out a bit more. There we go. Okay, that looks pretty. Just get rid of that thread. Right, now the yellow one I do actually really love because obviously that just ties in that yellow flower, which is really nice, isn't it? I don't really want to kind of cut that in half because yet again that would be another halved flower on the same page, which then it's as if I've just discovered how to fold the flowers and or you know, cut the flowers and I've now popped them everywhere. So I'd rather not do that really. So let's again have a look and see what I've got on my desk that we can make a tag with. So I have got this striped, as we just talked about, which, let's just cut that down like that. Okay. I'm just thinking we could pop that in there, and could we have the, let's just have a look at the fabric. Just thinking, could we actually have either the fabric there, actually, I wonder if we could have it, let me just cut this as if it's a tab, like that. So I'm just thinking we could have that there. Oops. Like that, or could we have that behind? No, I like that in front. I know that sounds very strange, but something about that just is appealing to me. So I'm just stapling that in there. And again, obviously, you know, if you feel a little bit skeptical as to whether that's going to hold with the staple, then just apply a tiny bit of glue and that's just going to just help that along a bit. Again, you could round the corners, which I didn't do before stapling that on, so I'm just going to round the corners now, and I probably won't bother with that top corner because I'd have to actually now bend that flower all up. So and because it's got those thin stems for the petals, I don't want to actually now tear the flower. Oh, my paper's a bit damaged there. Oh well. Right, so that looks cute, doesn't it? And just wondered, actually, still got this from another page, so I'm just going to tear along here. What we could do is just pop that on, which helps to tie it in even further. So glue that down. Okay. And then that just brings the elements on the page together. So it's turned out quite a fussy page. Personally, I don't mind that. I think that looks really pretty. But I mean, obviously I realise that might be a little bit too fussy for, you know, for some people, you know, it's not for everybody. Do I want that in there? Oh, I do like it. Right, let's now pop that in there. See, again, that's just the bonus of having all that rubbish all over the desk, because that was just lingering to the side. And I thought, oh, I'll just see how that looks, and lo and behold, it looks really cute. Right, so that's those pages. So going through the book, I'm just going to see now how many plain pages we've got versus decorated pages. And obviously in my holiday journal, I did leave a lot of pages quite plain. So it may be that this is as far as we want to go. And then we'll just decorate the other pages just with a few little elements like these, just to have something on the pages so they're not completely naked, but not actually bulking the book out any further, because, you know, that's now a really nice size at the moment for chucking into your luggage and things if you were going away. And obviously, you know, that could be bulked out quite a bit by adding more things. And obviously you've still got those big pockets at the front and the back for popping ephemera and things like that gathered up on your holiday and your travels. So, you know, you may want to just leave it and not bulk it up any further. So if that's the case, then I think what we'll do is I'm going to just pull in those other pages that we tore out. I've also got some little labels, but I'm not sure whether these are going to be not really the thing. So these are from my Butterfly House ephemera kit. I'm just going to, only because they're very colourful, so I just thought, oh, they're quite colourful, would they look pretty? So just going to cut them down. Like that. Okay. And just have a look. Actually, that is quite sweet, to be honest. So I think what I'll do is, again, just because I'm using things that are laying about, I'm going to back that, because obviously I've printed a different kit on the back. You know, when I was obviously making my kits, I just print them multiple times whilst I'm altering them to see how they're printing and how they're looking. So that's what's going on the back of here. So I'm just going to pop that on there. Like that. And again, I'll just use my card to just spread that and get some even cover going on. And then I might as well then use another one, I think, from that kit. So I'll take this one, I think. Oops. Like that. Okay. Okay. So I'll just pop that on there, and to be honest, whilst we're at it, I might as well just do one more, because then that's used up that whole piece of paper. So that's another thing gone from my desk. I mean, as I've said 100 times before, not that you would know it, it's making absolutely no difference whatsoever, because the problem is, as soon as I start clearing it a little tiny bit, I start another project, which is then different things that I'm getting out yet again. So it's actually never ever getting cleared, it's just having actually more and more things added to it. So in some comments, there was one lady who said that she clears up, you know, every single time and clears everything away and puts it away. I mean, I'm very lazy. I wouldn't do that, to be honest, because it would put me off crafting. The thought of having to put everything away. I mean, obviously I'm very fortunate in that I've got a permanent desk set up and I can just leave my things out. I think it was necessity in that lady's case that she's got to put everything away, but that would be frustrating, although at least her house is now looking nice and tidy constantly. So yeah, I haven't actually tidied my desk for probably about 2 years. The shame, honestly, the shame. And you would be horrified to know how I did tidy it 2 years ago. So what I did, I sat down at my desk. I didn't have a clue where to start, and I just thought, oh gosh, you know, where do I start with this tip that is my desk? So all I literally did was swiped everything onto the floor, which is just appalling, isn't it? I swiped everything onto the floor, and then what I did was I just bought some of those large storage boxes, you know, the type that you get from TK Maxx or TJ Maxx. I don't know whether it's called other things in other countries, but I know that obviously TK Maxx is here and TJ Maxx America, but if it's somewhere else it could be called something else, I guess. Anyway, and I just bought loads of those, you know, like the shoebox type things, but the decorative ones. I bought those and just then put all the stuff that I'd swiped onto the floor into those types of boxes, thinking I will gradually sort through those boxes. I have sorted through 1 or 2, most of which, you know, most of them though are still full of just rubbish. Well, actually that's not strictly true. I've got one that's massive, and that's completely full of the rubbish from the floor, and I haven't even attempted to look through it, but no doubt most of it could probably be binned. It's all just from my kind of card making and scrapbooking days. I mean, I do still occasionally do the cards because I can't bring myself to actually buy a card now that I've got all the rubbish that I need to make them. Yeah, so I mean, it's probably not even got very much stuff that I would want to be using now. But there we have it. That's what I did. So, and it was wonderful. My desk was completely empty, so I was able to polish it, and you know, I scrubbed some of the glue off. I mean, of course, not much of the glue came off because it's glue and therefore it's permanently stuck on my desk. But you know, I had a little attempt anyway, and it stayed like it for a little while. Not that long, I have to be truthful. Not that long. Maybe like a few months, 3 months, something like that. And then gradually I did more and more projects, and that must have been about the time that I opened my Etsy shop. In fact, it probably did coincide with that, because I probably thought, right, you know, new you know, new venture, new crafting thing, let's get organised here. And lo and behold, it's never been clear again. So yes, not a very good person for keeping things clear. So sorry, let me just move these out of the way a bit. But that's what I did to clear it. And yeah, I have never cleared it since. So that's kind of 2 years, or nearly 2 years ago. So I've just left it in that disgusting state. Well, I mean, it's not disgusting because obviously it's only just craft things. It's not food and things like that all over the desk. But it could do with a bit of a clear out. But the problem is I don't clear up between projects, and because I get quite bored of doing the same types of things, my projects don't really tend to be the same style necessarily, one after another. So I'm not really even using the same things time and time again. So I really like that, but I'm going to have to really squash that flower down in order to stick that cat on there. yeah, I'm not even using the same things. I'm obviously using quite different things each project. So each project, you know, and now that I obviously do my digis, that's even more stuff that's coming out constantly. And then I never clear it up in between the projects, so hence it's just staying out and staying out and staying out. And with each different project, with each different journal, with each different ephemera kit, or, you know, junk journal kit that I do, it's just more different supplies coming out. So yeah, it is very messy. But what I was originally saying was, when I had cleared the desk and I thought, oh, amazing, you know, I mean, of course, without a doubt, it looked 100% better. You know, there is no question about that. It, of course, looked lovely. But I didn't particularly enjoy working that way, because the thought of having to actually remember where I've packed things away, where I've tidied things up, and dig them back out then, and then put them away after I finish, oh, just drove me potty. So hence the desk obviously going back to its original state. Yeah, definitely I probably prefer it very messy. So, I mean, I said before recently, but I will show my desk soon. So I probably need to clear up a little bit. I mean, I say that and you're probably all then thinking, oh, she's going to clear it up, it's not going to look that bad. It will still look terrible, I have to say. It will still look awful, because I fully don't intend on actually clearing my desk up, you know, completely. So yeah, well, plus hopefully I can tie it in somehow with some project or other, rather than just showing my shameful tip of a desk, you know. So that was that journaling card whilst I was waffling on. Right, let's fill in a couple of these little pages. So what we can do is take some of the little bits and bobs that we've just got left over from the golden book. So for instance, here we've got this cute image of this carrot. So I'm just going to cut around that as best I can. Okay. I mean, basically all I'm doing is filling in the pages so that I don't just have completely plain pages that look really boring, because obviously, you know, I want this to be a really fun, colourful, pretty journal. And to me, just then having a completely blank page, that's not really very fun, is it? So that's all I'm doing here. Now, we did use some of this ribbon the other day, so we could have that maybe just running down. Yeah, that's quite nice to just break it up and add a bit of contrast. So just going to chop that down. And again, what I'm going to do is just staple it. Actually, I'm going to staple it scruffy, like we did the gingham. This ribbon might not really go so scruffy because it's very, it's that, I think it's called Grosgrain ribbon. That doesn't sound right now I've said that, but anyway, I think that's what it's called, which obviously is well, to say it's stiff, that's not quite right, is it? But it's not that flexible. It's like a formal ribbon, if there is such a thing. It's not got the flexibility of a more casual ribbon. That just sounded really waffly, didn't it? Like, what is she talking about now? Casual ribbon, formal ribbon? That's just very strange. But hopefully you kind of get the gist of what I mean. So I'm going to just have that down there. So again, I'm just going to use the Fabri-Tac. Now obviously I have still not been using this Fabri-Tac long enough to be really great with using it or anything. I'm just hoping that this is going to stick by using it. I mean, again, lots of people have commented saying how brilliant it is and how it sticks everything. So my hope is that it is going to stick this, because obviously this is quite lumpy. But we'll see. And then I'm just going to pop that carrot, I think, just there. And again, I'm going to Fabri-Tac that because it's going to go over the fabric slightly. Like that. I don't think I've really glued that very well on this edge, so let me just go onto that there. I hate the thought of things not being glued properly. And talking of things like that, now, on the note of glue sticks, it's many years since I have used a glue stick, and you know, the glue sticks that I have used previously years ago were appalling, really, really awful. But I do see quite a few people using glue sticks, so I can only assume that they have improved, or that there's some brands that are brilliant. In particular, I mean, I've seen people doing decoupage quite a bit with glue sticks, and mentioning doing decoupage with glue sticks. So I'm intrigued as to what is the glue stick brand that people would recommend, because I mean, obviously there's things like Pritt Stick, which personally I have never found very good. As I say, that is a long time since I have used a Pritt Stick, and it may well have drastically improved. So, you know, please don't please don't say, oh, Pritt Stick's great, because, you know, it may well be, but I just haven't used it for a long time now. But I'm just wondering, what glue stick brands would people, let me just grab one of my dry wipes, what glue stick brands would people really recommend? Because yeah, I mean, I've even seen people doing decoupage lately with the glue sticks, and that just looks fab. So easy, not messy at all. And I just wondered what glue stick those people are using that's, you know, strong enough to actually do decoupage with. Yeah, so if you've got a glue stick brand that you think is good, I'd love to hear that below. Right, okay, so that's another couple of pages just filled in. So we just go through, and then we've got another one here. So we're just going to do a similar thing here. We're just going to pop on a couple of bits and pieces. Actually, I'm going to go to here, I think, just because I don't like it if then I've suddenly got all the same things next to each other, and sometimes that can happen. I find if I craft on one day, my style might be leaning a particular way, and then on another day it might be leaning a different way. So it's quite nice to just mix things up, you know, page wise, because then hopefully I'm going to have a bit more variety going on. Right, bring in a couple more of those book images. So again, we've got all those cute cats here. Just having a look to see which one. Oh, decisions. Well, perhaps we'll go for the mum here. She's cute, isn't she? The baby that she's holding. Oops. just tear her out. Must keep my eye on the time because I'm taking my daughter out to meet her friend. You know, her mum and I are meeting up and they're playing at the park. So, or, you know, we're all going to the park is basically what I'm trying to say. So I must make sure that I don't overrun. I must keep my eye on the time. Which is always hard to do, isn't it? Because once you get crafting, you know, I'm then busy enjoying myself and it's time runs away with you. So again, just using one of those. So, you know, I hope people don't think, oh gosh, how boring, she's using those same old stamps. You know, I'm hoping it's the other effect in that you think, oh, she's only using those same few stamps, you know, that you don't need to then go and buy a whole bunch of variety of things. You know, because that's hopefully what I'm getting across rather than, oh gosh, so boring, she's just using the same old stamps time and time again. It's really intended to, you know, show that you don't necessarily need 100 different stamps, you know. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have got quite a lot of stamps, but I do tend to just use the same old ones, as probably you know. You know, I certainly have my favourites. So certainly if you're just building up your supplies, I don't think you need to go too mad with buying a whole bunch of things. I mean, I think I did say in the last video, but you know, just a few really carefully picked out stamps is probably better than buying a whole bunch that maybe you wouldn't necessarily actually then use. I was just trying that there just to see, and clearly no, but I just thought I would give it a try. Let's just bring that. You see, I quite like this here, but unfortunately I haven't gone close enough to the edge of the page, but I'm just going to glue that on and then I'm going to see whether I've got a flower or anything that I can just cover that up with. So just pop that one on there, like that. Okay, now did I used the whole of that orange yellow type flower, didn't I? So I don't have that left. Right, I think there was a second one in that tin. Now can you tell I don't want to use it because I'm now down to my last one in that colour. I mean, how ridiculous is that? But I'm sure as fellow crafters, a lot of you are the same as me in that, you know, once I get down to my last, I kind of don't want to use it. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous, I know, but that's just how it is. Right, so we could have that like that. So that looks cute, doesn't it? So let's just glue the fabric down like that. Just press that down there. And then we can just attach that the flower, not the fabric. Okay. Okay. So just pop that flower down, press it in. Okay, so I'm just going to check how many minutes I'm up to. Right, 45 minutes. So let me just glue the edge of this because I can see it lifting slightly. Obviously hadn't really got very close in with the glue. So there we go. And then, oops. I'm just going to put something on the facing page just so we haven't got just a completely blank space there. So I might just take a little tag like that. blue thread that I found just now, but obviously I haven't really got anything else much blue on that page, so I'm going to save that for another one. Well, providing it doesn't get just buried on my desk, that is. I would like to use it for another one, but it may be that by the time I come to use it, I then can no longer find it. Now, talking of no longer finding things, I'm just now hunting around for the other piece of the flowers and the grass kind of effect that we used on that tag. This. There it is. Right. Because I wondered whether we could just have it on that tag. Although, to be fair, that quite swamps that tag, so I might not use that. Let's just have a quick look and see what else we've got. Oh, I wonder whether I could use one of those kittens. They're probably too big for that tag, but let's have a look. Let's just see. Well, to be fair, I mean, that could overlap the tag. It doesn't have to be perfectly on there, does it? Or I could have that on the page and the tag off there. No, that's a bit weird. Right. Just tear around there. Oh, come on. Like that. You see now, can you even tell that that's a kitten? Plus that is quite monstrous compared to the tag, I feel. Oh, perhaps we'll just have the kitten on there and won't bother with the tag. Right, let's just make a decision and go for this, because I'm really trying to be a little bit less dithery in my making decisions. So, oh gosh, come on. Just dropping things all over now, sorry. Sorry. Right, okay. So that's another page done. Really looking cute. So the journal really is coming together really nicely now. So we haven't got an awful lot of pages left to do. We've just got a few pages left to do, including obviously here. I haven't decided yet what to do there. And the cover. And again, I mean, if I just pull my holiday journal back in, I just left the cover really super simple. I mean, as you can see, mine is obviously a bit bigger, but that's purely just dictated by the size of the bag I used. But all I did was just attach a ruffle and some flowers. So I might do just something very simple and similar on this one. I haven't decided quite yet. But I hope you're going to join me for the next one. And yeah, hope that you're really having fun making one. If you're doing something, sorry, playing around with my glue. If you're doing something similar, I hope you're having fun doing it, and hope that you're liking the journal as it's transforming, you know. So thanks very much for joining me, and I will see you all again soon. Thanks then. Bye.